Supermoms, what you need to know to get ready for surgery. Here we go. All right, my name is Dr. Rolando Morales. I am a board-certified plastic surgeon from Houston, Texas, and welcome to my podcast. This is the FitDoc Podcast. And so this is probably my fourth podcast I've done this year, and I'm really excited to have this one. I have some of my favorite patients I've ever worked with, and this is Karyna, and this is Alicia. And so our podcast topic today is Supermoms, what you need to know before surgery. And so I get a lot of my patients, I would say the vast majority of women have children. And one of the big, struggles is, how do I get ready for this? It's really a life event, don't you think? It's like a life event.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so this life event is, how do you prepare, right? I have young kids, I have older kids. Like, when is a good time to have kids? Do you wait until they're out of the house? Do you wait until they're like middle age? Do you wait until they're babies, just get it done and get it over with? And who's gonna help me in recovery? So these are all things that I work with a lot of moms thinking about before they even considered it, where they get finances. So, I have two wonderful women here that I've got an opportunity to work with and be part of their journey. And they both have kids, and I want you to hear from them. This is what I hear all the time, and I just want you to hear it in their side of the story. I'm not prepping them. I want them to give me an honest opinion. But I think you'll find that their stories is very, very similar to those women who are considering doing some of these surgeries in the future. So this is real honest talk. This is something I want patients to talk about. Feel free to comment, like, share, give us some comments and feedback on the podcast. But I really look forward to getting this podcast started. So after introductions, Karyna and Alicia, thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I know.
Yeah, so this is going to be a lot of fun. We're in the summer now of 2023, and the gray year's gone really well. And for those of you who don't know, these are two women that have also chose to try their hand in bodybuilding.
Right. Yes.
And so I don't know if I had any inspiration in that. I don't know.
I
But,
think so.
I would assume that they've already had it to the bucket list, so maybe something to do one time in their life. And they went through the transformation with me in their surgical journey, and then they got on what we call prep, and then did their first bikini competition. It's called bodybuilding. So it's a bikini competition. You go up there and you kind of stretch your stuff. And I would say most women who do it for the very first time have fun, right? They have fun, and they've attained a physique that, most women are like, I didn't think I could ever have this body. So I would say both of y'all felt that way,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
It was a ton of fun, right?
Oh,
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
So-
I want to do it again. I just had a blast.
So I just supported them. It's not something that, that a lot of athletes get, but they're my patients. So my patients, I support them in any way I can help. And so I was able to help them with the registrations, and I kind of guided them when maybe some coaching and maybe some nutrition, and just like my feedback on me personally as a bodybuilder going through prep. My wife was also involved, trying to give them tips and support. And we just I wanted them to have a great experience. that first time ever on stage, and hopefully you guys had a good time. Yeah, good.
That's really good.
So going back to the topic at hand, Supermoms, what to expect before going to surgery, what to start thinking about. When you got the idea, what was the very first thing you thought about?
Who's going to take care of my kids?
There you go.
Same.
Yeah.
Who's going to
Susie
take care of me too? Yeah.
Yeah. So did you have any thoughts of, should I wait until the kids are older or out of the house, or maybe when they're toddler age, like kind of timing, like when did you think a good time? Well, Alicia, how old are your kids?
So right now, my kids are 17, 14, 7, and 4.
Okay. So pretty good range.
Yes.
Mama 4. Household.
Yes.
That is a household. And Karyna?
Right now, my kids are 6 and 2.
Okay. So a toddler.
Very young. Yes.
Toddlers are very, very, very active.
Very young, very hands-on.
I definitely want to talk about that in a second.
Yes.
But, we have two women with really a variety of ages and also number of kids. And so, the household is very, very busy. And the women I tend to work with are what I call supermoms, right? You are the nurturer. You take care of the house. You take care of the kids. Like, I would say a lot of responsibility falls on you guys. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
All right. How's the support from the husband, and how's that working for you? Was it a good experience?
Oh, yeah. It was great.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was a kind of a combined decision. So, okay, let's do it. It's time to do it. We're not going to have any more kids. You weren't going to have a fifth, were you?
Absolutely not.
No way.
So let's, now it's time to do it. Let's do it together, right? And I always tell women that when they finally make the decision to come see a surgeon is, I feel like you deserve it. You've given your body to your children. It made some changes on your body that, despite all the diet and exercise and training, you're doing all the core crunches you can ever think of, you'll never get that six pack again. There are things that your body has gone through that it will never ever be fixed. And that's kind of where I kind of come into play. And so I think you deserve to get your body back personally. And so for me, I think it's something that I think your significant other or your spouse or everything like that, you should have a serious conversation. Like, I want to feel better about myself. And that's where, again, it comes back to cosmetic surgery. It's really about giving your confidence back. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree.
Yes, same. 100%.
When made that decision, I wanted to ask you guys, like, when you start looking at surgeons, what were kind of your criteria of looking at for surgeons?
For me, it was board certified, because that was very important. And also people that I know that had used the same surgeon before.
Yeah? Okay.
And hearing their recommendations.
Alicia?
For me, it was, obviously board certified, but I wanted to know that I wanted to feel like I was going to be able to reach out to someone if I had a question about recovery or during recovery. I also wanted, I didn't want a doctor that was going to tell me I couldn't do anything for a long time, because I don't do well doing nothing
sitting still
for very long. Like, I do not do well. So I didn't want someone that was just going to tell me, it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks of you just basically barely getting by.
Right.
I didn't want that. And so that was probably the biggest part for me. I don't know if that sounds weird, but
yeah, it's kind of like maybe the physical activity downtime, right?
Yeah.
How about you? Was that a consideration for you?
A little bit, yeah. I kind of knew going into it what was going to be expected. It was a surprise hearing how quickly you could get up and move, but I feel like, yeah, definitely being able to have that open communication with a surgeon is very important. So.
Oh, good. It's good to hear. Well, for you guys know me now, but obviously I have a little bit more of a background in fitness, and I really, preach fitness and exercise and health and everything like that. You guys were already working out before I met you guys. So, women who are very more health conscious, they want to exercise a lot. They want to get back to those kind of things. Like, for me, it's very, very important to get you back in the gym, because I think mentally it's part of the recovery.
Yes.
Like, some people just get stir crazy and they kind of take out their stress and their anxiety out in the gym, and they just to get it out. For the emotional, mental recovery from the surgeries you ladies had, it's very important to get you in the gym as quickly as possible, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And you can do it safely. And I've been doing this a while now, so I've kind of tailored my recovery down a little bit, as short as possible. There's obviously restrictions, as you ladies both experience, but we did get you back in the gym in 3 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We got you back in the gym. We got you some workout clothes. We got you some cardio. We did some weight training, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're moving and your body's starting to kind of start changing. You can feel your body has changed and things are kind of waking up. And, for me, I do feel like it helps improve and speed up the recovery process, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that 2 months, we kind of give you the green light to kind of get back to, I would say 90% of what you normally do. We always have some restrictions. If you had a tummy tuck, with both you ladies did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had a little restriction for core stuff, but we got you back into all the other stuff, the extremities and back, and then training and cardio and all those kind of things. And I think both of y'all stepped into prep fairly quickly after that, right?
Right, because I think your surgery was just a few months before mine.
Yeah. Mine was December of 21.
Right.
Mine was
So,
March of 22.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were really.
So going back to exercise, when did you feel like you could do most exercises normal, as comparable to when before you did your surgery? When did you feel like my body? Okay, I feel maybe tighter. I feel just more like I'm more normal.
I would say just feeling like I was really close to 100%. Probably I'm gonna say the 4-month mark. Really feeling good. I couldn't do all of the core stuff just yet because you had taken care of that hernia repair as well. So I had to be a little bit more careful there. But as far as running or lifting, that sort of thing, I felt like I could move really pretty normal.
Okay.
Yes, I think it would be like between 3 to 4 months. I felt back to my normal self where I could, because I teach fitness classes too, I feel like I can get back in the groove and not feel restricted or like live I mean, I would still be careful, but it was like, oh, I can do this now.
So good. Just very, very consistent with my recovery for my patients doing tummy tucks is that around the 4-month mark, I kind of give you a green light. And so that is why is it 4 months? And why it's 4 months is that when I fix them, I tighten the muscles back up, like from having children, we tighten that back up. It's called diastasis. It's with a separation. And that diastasis is something you can't fix. You can do all the crunches and sit-ups and all that other core stuff. It will not work. It takes me to get you back to more anatomic, which is back together. And so we use permanent sutures or long dissolvable sutures to repair that, and that needs time to heal. So 2 months is too early. 4 months is really all that scar tissue is healed, and you're strong again, and then we get you back in. We slowly get you back into core training at 4 months. Introduce maybe some planks and sit-ups and crunches, and you guys kind of feel it, right? Mm-hmm. You'll feel some tugging sensations when you first start, but as things the anatomy starts kind of getting rewired as far as the nervous system and start reorienting the tension, you kind of get back to most everything. So I have a lot of CrossFitters, I have a lot of yoga instructors. They hate me because they can't do anything for 4 months, but at 4 months they get the green light. Go start doing your CrossFit, start doing your yoga, start doing these stretches, and that's when I feel it's safe. And so I've been very successful with that recovery, and you just got to plan accordingly when you start thinking of these kind of surgeries, especially a tummy tuck. That's really the limitation of the tummy tuck surgery, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you guys did phenomenally well, and then you should see their stage shots. Their stage shots are freaking killer, just amazing. So I want to go back to timing. What is the best time to have like a tummy tuck surgery and a mommy makeover surgery? When is the best time in relation to kids? I'm kind of curious, like, school, ages, toddler, I'm kind of curious your insight, because you have a range of older, kids, and then you have a young one and a little bit older one. So Alicia, let's hear it.
So, I mean, I just didn't want to have one in a crib because I knew I wouldn't be able to lift them in or out of it. And there's already limitations, so I didn't want bedtime to be a limitation for them because that's just a lot of change for their normal. So for me, once my youngest, I wasn't having to fight a crib anymore, I felt like we could make it work. Everything else, we could work around. My older 2 kids help. Obviously, my husband's very hands-on and he helps. So as long as I wasn't fighting the crib anymore, I felt like as my herd could just work together to get us all through.
I love that. Okay. So. Karyna, you have a toddler.
Well, I had a crib, so I had to just know that was going to be part of the limitation. And it did, take a little bit of like a team of my husband and I to like be like, all right, bedtime for me is now to put the older one, and he had to do the little one. So we switched, and it just worked. I mean, I just decided I wanted to get it done because I felt like I knew we were done having children, and I wanted to enjoy feeling better about myself at that time. I guess it was just one of those like decisions that just said, let's do it. And it was a tough transition, but it got better every week. It got better. And every week I was able to be more hands-on with the little one. And it was tough. Like, I'm not going to lie, that was tough, but he doesn't remember that. So
Good point.
He won't ever remember that.
Right. He won't ever remember that, yeah.
That was also another key point for me. I'm like, well, he's not going to remember I didn't rock him at 15 months old. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, from my side as a surgeon and working with so many women who are getting mommy makeovers and have kids of all ages, I have a kid, women that are like, I cannot wait to have surgery as soon as my baby's out of me. Like 6 months, when can I have it as quickly as possible? I always tell women, you need to wait 6 months at least. Let your body recover. Please just enjoy your child, enjoy your new family. It's just such a I cannot emphasize it. It's such a special time to have bonding with your child. And get your hormones, it gets back to normal. Like, you need that time. There's no rush. I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm here. So give your body the chance to recover, and you'll be surprised like how much your body actually bounces back at 6 months versus how your body feels at 4 months. Right. Would you all agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
So I've just seen that, seeing women, who see me at 4 months and they are like, at 6 months, Dr. Morales, you're doing my surgery. you are doing my surgery 6 months. I'm like, okay. And they come back at 6 months and their body's changed a little bit in a good way. And they feel better. They've had that extra 2 months to spend with their kid. And I think you, in my opinion, you know, you should wait 6 months. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your kids, right? You don't get that time back ever again. And you're going to miss it. You know, there's no reason to go any faster. So at 6 months, you know, let's say, you know, women want to have the surgery at 6 months. You have to consider, and these are from women I've worked with, is that you have a baby, and you know, having a child that's screaming and crying, not sleeping as well, very, very, very emotionally stressful. Not physically stressful, but emotionally stressful. And it's just the natural nurturing instinct of a mom to take care of the baby. And so it's really hard emotionally, I think, to have a very, very young child at that point. And then take the age a little bit higher, like maybe 1 or 2 years old. Then you have a child that's still very emotionally attached to the mom, and they want to be held, they want to be picked up. And that's where I tend to have the most problem with my patients, is my toddlers. And I think we talked about this. So at toddler age, what's going to happen when you pick them up, you know, they don't know they can hurt you. And so it just takes an elbow or a knee right to the tummy or the breast. And then next thing you know, you have swelling and you see this fluid collection, you start having some pain. And these are things that can be avoided. And this is by, you know, trying to pick up your screaming toddler, right? And they insist on you picking them up. You try to pick them up, and the next thing you know, you feel your tummy getting tighter, bigger, or your breast getting bigger because you got an elbow. And they're not meaning to hurt you. It just can happen. So toddler age, you know, women who go through the surgery, just be very, very, very careful. Please be very careful and just resist the urge to pick up the babies. When they start kind of, you know, I had kids, so when they start kind of, just put them down. And we talked about that. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And have a plan, I think, because I had a plan of support. You know, my mom came to help, and my husband was very hands-on, and they just knew for that time frame that, you know,
yeah,
I had help to have somebody else pick him up. So.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, what time of the year is best for you ladies to have surgery? When did you decide? I'm sure school came into play, right? What time of the year was best for you?
So I did it over Christmas break. I did it on December 16th so that I would have that week before Christmas, because my goal was to not ruin Christmas for anybody. So no one had school, you know, no one had to be dropped off or picked up. There were no extracurriculars like baseball or showing of animals or any of that going on. So it was calm as far as all that goes. So that's what I chose.
We chose March, and I think it was because my husband's work season is really heavy in the summer and travel, and then there was spring break too, so I knew we didn't have to take my oldest to school at the time, so it would be a week of everybody just laying low.
Yeah. So again, on the other side, that's very, very common for me. So, you know, my mom's getting my makeover surgery, specifically really a tummy tuck surgery, has a little bit longer recovery. They tend to do it when the kids are out of school. So spring break is very common, like in the Christmas break is very common, in the summertime, like early summer. You have just more support, and you don't have to deal with the stress of getting the kids to school, back and forth, getting them ready in the morning. Like, that's super, super stressful. So that's a great point to kind of think about, like, when you start thinking about this, really, again, it's a life event. It's a life event. You want to do this one and done and get through the recovery as safely as possible and not have any complications associated to the stress of, you know, being a supermom, trying to take the kids to school, and you get in your SUV, you climb up, and the next thing you know, you have some pain in your abdomen. And, you know, those things can be avoided. It just takes, obviously, some preparation. And I know both of y'all ladies, y'all are very, 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 very prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all are planners.
Yes.
Which is very consistent with most supermoms. The next question I have for you is, so how much time, when you started thinking about this surgery, how much time did you anticipate you're going to need off from work and then from, like, help with the kids? Like, before talking to me, how much time did you think that you're going to need? Alicia?
So I, again, don't sit very well. So I was probably a little ambitious. I mean, I'm like, I knew I would be down a week, right? I would, as far as like physically being down. But I thought, you know, a couple weeks and I'll be able to like move around pretty well and I'll be fine.
When did you think you're going to go back to work?
Well, do you want to know when I went back to work? So
So how much did you plan before you met me? What were you, or were you just gonna say, I don't care what I'm going back to work at this day?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I work from home, so like I didn't have to see anybody. I didn't even have to be at my desk, right?
Yeah, all
so I had surgery on Thursday. I was cleaning out my emails Monday and Tuesday, and
Oh my
officially back
gosh.
on the clock on Wednesday
Oh my gosh.
on my couch.
Lisa.
I was on my couch.
How?
I had a pillow
Real life
behind me,
stories here. That's what we're hearing.
and I just sat on my couch. I didn't have anything else I could do but sit there and look at my computer.
Oh my God. I was so happy not to do anything.
Yeah.
So-
Karyna, how long did you anticipate?
I figured
going
at
in?
least like definitely 4 weeks to be like not working, not picking up anybody, not having to. I was so excited to be like taken care of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, and I mean, it was about 4 weeks. I felt like, that I was able to just lay
Yeah. Okay.
and recover.
Well, kind of on my side, people, I get this question a lot, like, what is the recovery time for a tummy tuck? What is the recovery time for a mom makeover? And it's, for me, at 2 weeks, most of my women, I would say 95% of the women are back in the office setting, air conditioned, sitting down, not standing up and moving a whole lot. It's about 2 weeks. Yeah. My active moms who are maybe gym owners or nurses or, medical sisters, constantly up and down and are kind of asked to kind of do more physical stuff, it's going to be 3 weeks. Especially my nurses. My nurses are the ones that don't listen very well.
Yeah.
They're hard-headed, as all medical professionals are typically. And so I find it very common that they try to go back at 2 weeks and they get sent home. So I tell all my nurses at 2 weeks, you're going to get sent home. I can almost assure you. And it's very, very common that happens. And they'll text me, Dr. Mouse, yeah, you're right. I've done this for 11 years now, so of course I'm right. So just give, those, depends on your occupation. And, there is some nuances with some surgeons. Some surgeons have a little bit longer recovery and they'll be like, don't work for 4 weeks. For me and what I do, I work with a lot of supermoms. Like y'all cannot take off for 4 weeks. Like that's a long time. Mm-hmm. You're asking a lot of people helping you, and it can be done. It can be done. It just takes a lot more preparation ahead of time, right? Mm-hmm. Right, which you had, right?
Right.
So those, since COVID, came into play, several years ago, and it changed the way people work. Now people are working from home. This new evolution is like, I'm just going to work, 3 days after surgery. Looking at you. So why is that not a good idea? The reason that's not a good idea is that most women are taking pain medicines for, let's say, mommy makeover, for example, taking oral pain medicines that are narcotics, typically 3 to 5 days. And when you're taking those kind of pain medicines, it can alter you a little bit. Some people feel a little, loopy or tired. And, this is what I'm hearing, Alicia, is they get back to work 3 or 4 days later and they're still taking pain medicines and they're writing like a very emotional emails or they're on Zoom calls and they're just high as a kite.
Oh my God.
And again, the Zoom thing, like Zoom meetings is you're live and you can't hide it. Oh, you can't see the rest of my body, but you can see my face, but I'm high, right? It's not a good thing. And so I've had these conversations with my patients who tried it and they, maybe said some things they shouldn't have done. And they're like, yeah, you're right. You probably shouldn't have done that. So hopefully you didn't do that.
I did not.
But also driving, like I've had moms that are like, I have to be able to drive in 5 days. I'm like, I'm just telling you, you're probably gonna take pain medicines 3 to 5 days. And if you're driving under the influence of pain medicines, it doesn't matter if you have surgery. You might get in trouble, not just getting a ticket, but let's say you get a little tired at the wheel and then you drift off the highway and you hurt yourself or hurt others. Like that is the risk. So please don't drive while you're taking pain medicines ever. It is definitely a risk to yourself and risk to others around you. So that's the reason. I'm not trying to be mean. I understand you have a busy life. I understand you got things to do, but
okay, in my defense, I didn't drive for 3 weeks.
She laid.
I just sat
and typed.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so the next question is, who helped you in your recovery? Who was your support system? Alicia.
My biggest support system by far was my husband. He physically lifted me in and out of bed that first week, helped me shower. He did laundry for weeks, multiple times during the week to make sure all of my, garments were clean and the little pads were clean. And he helped me with tape and he helped me with literally everything. He helped the kids make Santa cookies so that was done. I mean, everything, he helped with all of that.
Yeah.
which was amazing.
Do like, you know, go in the bathroom and like there's some.
Yeah, I mean, the shower was hard. Washing your hair is impossible after that. I mean, you physically cannot wash your hair. And it needed to be washed, obviously. So I'm like, someone has to help me. My older kids, they helped with their younger siblings too, which was nice. And all of my kids stayed with my in-laws for that first weekend. So they weren't home until Sunday night. And by that point, I was really just taking Tylenol then. So we were good.
Good. How long did you take pain medicine? I'm curious.
So I definitely took it Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, I took it less. And then by that Sunday, so by day 4, I was really just on like extra strength Tylenol.
Very, very common. At least for, yeah.
So Tylenol with my computer on the couch on Monday.
Me too with you. Karyna, what was your support system at home?
It was definitely my husband. Same. I feel like he was there to, of course, bring me and pick me up from surgery. And the first shower, I mean, that was intense, I think, you know, and you being so fragile and him having to help you, pick you up, unbandage you, clean you.
Bandage you back.
And yes, bandage you back, and then washing hair, restroom, the drain. I mean, that to me was hard. Like, he's very queasy too, so like that took so much. I felt like, wow, like you really love me, because I mean, he doesn't like blood, but having to measure that and, you know, keep tabs of all my medication and all of that just
he had an alarm set for those pain pills those first couple days.
He was so nervous to
Amazing.
sleep next to me. He slept on the floor. He was so nervous to, like, because he's a hard sleeper. He just like, I don't want to. I was like, babe, I'll feel you if you're hurting me. I'll tell you to move. And he's like, no, I don't want to. He slept on the floor right next to me and would wake up to help me get to the restroom and all of that. It was just my rock. So I just
So
grateful.
kudos out there to those super dads,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So I
absolutely.
congratulate the husbands of these amazing women. So great job. So proud of you. And I couldn't take care of them without you guys. So there's a lot of dads out there that do that. And I think, you know, your wives deserve it. You know, they deserve that care, you know, and that peace and comfort of the recovery that's going to be less emotional, less stressful. Just want to stress the importance of having support at home. I cannot emphasize that enough. Those supermoms out there that have young kids and are single and by yourselves, you cannot do this by yourself. I don't feel that you can do this by yourself. And I will stand by that every time. And if you come talk to me about having mommy makeover surgery, and I ask you who's going to be helping you at home, and you don't have an answer, I think it's set up for problems. Would you all agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be physically impossible.
Physically,
to do by your-
emotionally, mentally,
Oh,
it
all
would
of
be
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be
So,
a disaster.
I mean, there's women out there like, Dr. Miles, I really want this. I understand you want it. I get it. I understand. But it's for your safety. You know, it's for the safety of your kids. I just don't want you to get in a situation where you're home by yourself, you have young kids that, you know, need to go to the bathroom or need something, and then you stand up real quickly, and then like just 2 days after surgery, you stand up too quickly and you feel lightheaded, you hit the ground. Like, that is a danger to you. That is a danger to your kid. Like, who's going to find you? Like, these are real situations that I've heard of. I haven't gone through that experience yet, but these are situations I've heard of where you're found down, your kid's screaming and crying, and then someone in the apartment next door hears kids screaming and crying for hours, and then like, what's going on in there? And then they find you. So these can be preventable. So find a support system. Find, you know, it's not a husband. Find someone, a friend or a family. But again, this is a big surgery. Like, these mommy makeover surgeries are big surgeries. You know, I know there's really tough women out there. These are 2 very, very tough women. But they said themselves, you probably can't do this by yourself. So take that extra time to prepare for this life event again, and then have the support system around you. That way we can get you back to life as quickly as possible. So next question is, what was your worst fear going into surgery?
I didn't really have any fears, actually.
Oh, that's good. Did you have any before you met me?
No.
No? You're like, I'm doing it. We're doing it.
I wanted to do it, and we did a little research and just said we're doing it.
Yeah.
Didn't have any fears.
I guess my biggest fear was just feeling like I let anybody down in the house, because I don't like to let anybody down ever. So I was just worried that someone along the way was going to feel let down because I couldn't do certain things. But they were fine. Everyone survived and they were totally fine.
Yeah. Well, y'all seen me do a podcast on this before, but the fear of anesthesia, and that's very, very common fear for women considering cosmetic surgery. And most of them never have cosmetic of any surgery of any kind. And it's just generalized fear and anxiety of having general anesthesia, going to sleep and not having control. And, when if I go to sleep and I don't wake up? Like, who's going to take care of my kids? I hear that a lot. So they're super stressed out about it. And that keeps a lot of women away from even considering surgery because they couldn't imagine, like, having cosmetic surgery and something really bad happening, right? And they leave their kids behind, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't worry about that, but I know that my husband worried about that.
right.
So I mean, he had some mental stress that I didn't have in the beginning, which is
Same. I think that was the same. I didn't worry about it either. I don't know, maybe because
I mean, we've given birth, so it's
same. I'm like,
it's going to be fine.
I've done enough.
I love that. Well, it's just one of those things that, women have to, I guess, educate themselves on. And,
Right.
I've talked about anesthesia experience and how safe it is in the United States. It's very, very important that you understand that your provider should be certified to do this anesthesia. That it's just not, you're being walked back into the back of a room and there's maybe an IV and maybe a little bit of gas or something like that. And you're going to have like a tummy tuck. Like, red flags just start just popping off, right? You really should ask. And you shouldn't feel bad for asking, who is doing my anesthesia? What kind of anesthesia am I going to get? Am I going to be awake? Am I going to feel anything? Are you an anesthesiologist? Are you a CRNA? Are you a nurse anesthetist? Like, just make sure your providers are certified, in my opinion, and that you trust your surgeon, that they trust the provider doing your anesthesia. So for me, I'm just, we have a private group of anesthesiologists that work very, very closely with us for many, many, many years. And we're very comfortable with them. They take care of our patients amazingly well. And I feel very safe. I sleep so much better knowing that those anesthesiologists are 100% on board and they're not going to, get distracted and they're paying attention to you 100% because they're with you the entire time during your surgery. They're 100% with you. They don't they're with you the entire time. So for me as a surgeon, that makes me feel better of doing the surgeries that I do that, are pretty significant. They're bigger surgeries. They last 4 to 5 hours, for my makeover surgeries. It's not a small amount of anesthesia, but it's also not a large amount of anesthesia. And when you look at the big picture. So it's just very important for those women who are considering, like, am I going to wake up from general anesthesia? You are. But just do your homework, do your research, talk to your surgeon about it, right? And then talk to your anesthesia, or whoever you're doing your anesthesia provider before you have your procedure, and just be comfortable with that. Okay? I cannot emphasize that. Just be safe. It's just not worth the risk of having just an unknown of that. Okay? All right. And this is the big question. This is kind of one question I've been thinking about is, let's talk about mom guilt. Mom guilt for me is, I've learned this as I've gotten further into my career and working more and more moms, especially my type A super fit moms and are exercising and working full time and taking care of kids of 4. You kind of touched on already is you kind of feel bad as like, who's going to take care of the kids? Like, who's going to do that? Who's going to take out the trash? Like, these little things kind of start popping up your head, right? And when you went through surgery, this is when I experienced, when you go through surgery, is right after surgery, you're hurting, you're uncomfortable, right? You have all this stuff on you. This is a first time experience for you. You can hear the kids screaming in the other room, asking for you. They don't know where you are. They don't understand that, especially the young ones. They don't get it. And then you go through this emotional, like, I just feel so bad, right? I feel guilty. Like, why am I doing this? I'm hurting. I'm swollen. I can't see anything. Like, what did I do to myself? Right? These are things I've heard. Yeah. Like, and I feel so bad and so guilty. And then it's that first week, and I'll get you all this insight on this, but typically that first week is the roughest. And I tell all my patients that first week is going to suck. Like, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel very guilty, especially if you have young kids. And kids are really depend on you because dad is not around or dad's doing other stuff or you don't have people around you to help you. You've got to let yourself, let everyone else help you, okay? You've got to let it go. You got to let people help you. And that goes back to having people help you. You cannot do it. You're going to be moving slower. Emotionally, you're going to be thinking a lot. Like, you're very emotional. It is not the time. Okay, so the mom guilt is a real thing. It's similar to when having a baby, like that postpartum depression is very similar to that. And so all the serotonin and melatonin that's just flipping around, the hormones are just going crazy. Like, it is a very difficult time emotionally to be going through this. And so I'd love to kind of hear y'all's insight in this mom guilt topic. I've mentioned to you guys before, like, I wanted to talk about that specifically. And I kind of want to get your honest opinion, because I think there's a lot of women who don't quite appreciate that, right? They're like, oh, I'm a supermom, I can do it, and I'm prepared, but y'all are probably the most prepared women I've ever met going into this surgery. So tell me about your experience.
So the first week physically was incredibly hard, because you are pretty much just still, unless you've got to go to the bathroom or you get in the shower, which feels amazing because you're unbound for a little bit, For me, the mom guilt seemed to get worse the longer my recovery took. So the further I got into it, although physically I did feel a little better, I almost felt bad, because while I felt better, there was still so many things I couldn't do. My 3-year-old still wanted to be picked up. I couldn't carry him up the stairs. He didn't understand that, we would make do with cuddling on the couch, and he could sit beside me, not on me, things like that. So for me, the guilt got worse as I physically felt better, but still couldn't do the things that I would typically do for them. And the mental part, I think, was far harder than the actual physical part of the recovery piece.
Yeah, I agree. It was the same. The first week was incredibly hard. I felt like I wasn't really present. I mean, I was physically there, but not there. So the longer I took to recover, it was harder to know that of course, I had a really young child. He was 15 months old. And as I got better, I also had to figure out how to get him up the stairs in his crib. And as I got better, where I got stronger, we developed like a system where he climbed to a stool, and then I just would push his bottom over and he'd live in the crib. That way I could be with him. But, that mom guilt was tough. And I was like, why did I do this? Or is it worth it? And I think it was somebody else that told me they're not going to remember this, because I was talking about it so much. Like, I feel so bad that I can't cuddle my baby right now. And it was like just every day I had to take little by little and just be like, I'm getting better. And
my husband would point out things like, where things were improving. And I'm like, well, you're right, but there's all these things that I still can't do. And I just felt bad about it. And, but he just did a really good job of keeping me focused that we were improving and that the kids were actually fine. They weren't nearly as bothered as I felt like they were.
I know. I think I remember during my recovery, it was spring break, and I felt so bad because we couldn't go anywhere and do anything spring break fun. And I mean, my kids were like 4 and 2, or almost 2. I'm like, well, they don't know anything better. But he was in pre-K or kinder, the oldest one, and like, I was like, where are we going for spring break? I'm like, nowhere. We're sitting right here
In the living room.
And that, like, I remember my sister was like, I can take him to the pool for you. I was like, oh my God, that would be great. Like, and then I felt guilty because I couldn't go, or like, I was like, I'm ruining his spring break or his first spring break. And my husband's like, he's not going to remember that.
Yeah. That's a great point.
I mean, it was like, just, I felt guilty for that moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you tried to time it right before Christmas, so no one messed up, had their Christmas messed up.
No, we didn't. I mean, we went to Christmas Eve service and everything, and
Amazing.
The only part
was like a week or 2 after your surgery?
It was 8 days after my surgery.
That was not a week. Almost.
Yeah. I mean, I sat there too. My little one wanted to be held. I couldn't hold him.
Were you sitting
But I just sat.
Because, like,
I mean, not really.
Okay,
It was an
so I
outside
was like,
service. I was just sitting.
it took forever.
I mean, no one's Christmas was ruined.
There you go.
We didn't go to like Santa's Wonderland or anything, but
That's
we
so
made
funny.
it to church.
That's so funny. I love it. Well, I just think, women who are, watching this and they hear that topic about mom guilt, that hopefully that just like makes them at least watch this segment, because I think mom guilt is a true part of recovery that's underappreciated. Like, you need, hopefully talk to your surgeon about it. Like, just talk to them, right? And typically you're going to have some staff that maybe have had the surgery and kind of relate, or just, watch YouTube. Like, here we go. This is YouTube. This is real life here. And we're trying to get honest opinions from women who've gone through it and experienced it. And, do you have any tips to kind of make it better? I mean, other than having like a great support system?
I think being physically fit beforehand is very important, and mentally fit, like knowing that, okay, I'm going to go through something really tough, and knowing that it's not going to be, walk in the park, it's going to be hard, but fully accepting that beforehand. And of course, having that support system.
Yeah, I do think having a plan, I do think, being fit is important beforehand, and having a relatively good diet is important before, because what you eat's going to matter afterward in helping you just heal and have energy and things like that. And then just having just that plan, to kind of navigate by, right? Like some guidelines for yourself. Who's going to do what? How long is this? Like, my husband travels for work, so is he going to be home during that time? That I'm going to be out and down. Those kinds of things. Just take it all in, figure out a plan, and then just work together.
Well, I have two more questions for you. So when you decided to have the surgery, how long did you ask those people to help you, your husband? How long did they take off work to help you?
Well, so we're both office at home, so he's stuck with me all the time. Bless his heart. But I mean, he definitely helped me for that first week do everything from getting in and out of bed. If I wanted to walk to the bathroom, he would come and physically get me out of bed and then make sure I made it to the restroom and then help me get up and back. But I mean, probably took like 3 weeks, and I could start to he didn't have to pick me up anymore to get me out of bed. It's so hard for me to ask for help. It's like physically hard for me to do. So, I don't know, probably a month though that he really spent helping me. Even if he didn't have to pick me up, he would have to help me sit up to then be able to get out of bed and stuff. But once I was out of bed after week 2, I was okay. I was slow, but I was okay.
Okay. Karyna, how about you?
He took a full week off. He works from home as well, but he does have to travel to see clients. So he just took a week off where he didn't have to go anywhere. He just worked from the home office. Just that way he can be right there for me and that, of course, that was the hardest week. Yeah.
It's a very common question to get. Like, how long should I ask? How long will I need help? That is the question. How long will I need help after a mommy makeover? And the answer is about a week. Mm-hmm. At a week, you're off pain medicines, at least in my hands, and you're more functional, but you really want someone around you that first week. Really, really important to get that support system for a week. And then my last question for you, which is y'all touched on already, is do you think exercising and eating a little better going into your surgery helped you get through your surgery easier with your recovery and just heal faster and better?
I definitely think that. Because I think your body's already just stronger than if you weren't doing that. And your body needs certain foods to heal. And if you're already used to eating those, it's a lot easier to eat them when you feel like crap, if you're used to eating them, than if you're not and now you don't feel good and you're having to eat stuff that you don't really want or like or what have you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I also think that being, healthier and eating properly creates a strong mind and good habits in the long run. So if you're already on a plan or working out, you get that kind of willpower to stay the course and also go through something tough, because working out is tough, right? And it's physically hard. So you can be able to come out the other side
it's a little
stronger.
bit of the discipline of it.
Right, the discipline of it, because it is discipline to work out. And so, but then going through a surgery and being down, and knowing that you're going to get out of this, is just like getting over a hill of any type of workout that you're on or.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that both of you feel that way, because I strongly believe that is, how you take care of your body. And if you're exercising consistently and you're eating a little bit cleaner, you for sure will be healthier. Mm-hmm. And the healthier you are going into surgery, the better recovery you're going to have. That is just a fact. And if you have, medical issues, it's just you're kind of, compromising your ability to recover as quickly and healthy as possible. So, You know, those women are like, I'm going to have a mom makeover like 6 months from now. You know, start making some lifestyle changes, right? Start, you know, looking at your portion control. Start kind of avoiding like processed foods, you know, decrease your dairy, take some of the sugar foods out of your diet. You know, start exercising, like just start walking, like maybe walk like 3 or 4 days a week. It's not like hard exercise, but just do something. Like the physical activity, just moving is a good thing for your body. And then hopefully you get closer to surgery, your body's gonna be stronger, a little bit healthier, blood pressure will probably be lower, you'll feel better. You know, hopefully you're not eating processed foods. And then the intestinal, you know, bloating that you get after surgery, I know you'll have it. Everyone gets it because you're taking medicines. Yeah.
Please stop.
You know, the bloating after surgery is a real phenomenon. It's not really your fault. It's the fact you got anesthesia, your body's processing anesthesia, you're super swollen, that has to go somewhere. On top of the fact that you're taking pain medicines, on top of the fact you're taking antibiotics, on top of the fact you're taking other medications and vitamins. So your body has a lot of reason to be pissed off and you're, you know, bloated and it feels terrible. Right?
Yes.
So if you can kind of have your intestines ready to kind of handle that ahead of time, and you know, the reality is if you stay away from processed foods, your intestines will be happier and you will have a much smoother recovery. So these are just facts that I've observed doing what I do for now 11 years. And, you know, the goal is to get my patients back into doing things as quickly as possible, whether it's work, 3 days from surgery, back into the gym, back to exercises, you know, picking up their toddler, like these kind of things, we can make it happen quicker. But, you know, you can do things to help prepare your body to get ready for this life event. And it's a life event I strongly feel that women like yourselves deserve. And kudos again to those super dads that took care of these amazing women here. And there's a bunch of you out there, so pat on your back. Good job, high five. So anyway, well, thank you two so much for spending the time with me. I really appreciate your honest, you know, opinion and feedback and insights. And I know there's gonna be a lot of women out there watching this podcast that take a lot of value from what you said, because y'all went through it, right? And I hope it helps them make a good decision, you know, whether to have the surgery, when to have the surgery, how to prepare for it. That way they can get their confidence back and live a healthier and happier life. Thank you.
Thank you
Awesome.
for having us.
So thanks again for watching the FitDoc Podcast. I hope you learned something. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Love to hear your feedback, and stay tuned for more.